Marcus, myself, our team, we could take every little bit of Facebook knowledge we currently have and we could package it up and, and sell it to you or give it to you or whatever. And it's great. But by the time you've gone through that material, most of it is invalid.
Yes.
Most of it at that point, it's already changed, right? So it's understanding and following. And again, I always say it comes back to, these LCA events. It comes back to coming to meeting the StreetText team because as things change, we're usually ahead of the curve and we can tell you guys pretty quickly, oh, hey, you're struggling with that. Well, we've heard of hundreds or if not thousands of people struggling with that same thing. Oh, and by the way, we've already come up with a solution. Let's try this.
All right. Well, it looks like we are live on LabCoatAgents. Welcome, LabCoatAgents, and those people, who are watching directly through the Zoom webinar. And today we're going to talk about how to tap into a hot seller's market using Facebook leads. And I think you guys are going to be really excited to see what we have to offer today. It's kind of a new look, a little bit different. I know in the past, many of you guys have used you may have used StreetText to do this in the past, but there's been some updates and some things that these guys have been working on. So this is going to be a lot of show and tell, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who are excited about it. Before I go into that, I just want to remind everybody, if you are unable to continue watching the entire webinar, please do. But if you're not, for some reason, something comes up, or if you just want to watch it again, this will be on the LCA Lab Coat channel. And so, please tune in there and watch it 6, 7, 8 times until you get what you need. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass this over to Marcus. Marcus, why don't you kind of give us an idea of what we're going to talk about, what's different and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so StreetText is known for seller leads. And if you've never tried it, come try it. It's free at the trial to come try. The only thing that's not free is how much you spend with Facebook. So we'll teach you how to spend money wisely. But what StreetText has been known for is something called a conversion objective in the way we tap into Facebook. And a conversion objective is, it allows us to go after seller leads dynamically. So instead of asking for all their information up front, which it's typically a lead ad variation where you click on an ad and it auto-populates their name and their phone number and their email. The workaround with the seller is that you need the address, because if a seller wants to, particularly the main message that we found works with sellers is them wanting to know what they could sell their home for, or what their home is worth, or if someone were to buy their home, would they sell it? That type of message. So the first thing that you want to ask for is not their name, phone number, and email, which if you try that, drives them away, because they're like, no, I just want my home's value. The workaround has been ask for the address up front. And if you ask for the address up front, statistically speaking, you're more likely to get their email, which is more likely to get more information about their home and time frame for selling and the condition of their home, which is more likely to get their name and phone number as well. So it's a kind of a micro commitment funnel capture. And so we've been known for that, and it works extremely well. But recently, Logan has taken it upon himself to come up with something brand new that actually taps into what is so effective with the Facebook lead ad, that actually captures their information up front. So we all want phone numbers. Everybody wants phone numbers. Like a lot of realtors are like, forget an address and email. I can't do nothing with that. I'm like, well, that,
That's
okay.
not true.
That's not true, right? I get where you're coming from. If you come from this bottom of the funnel, like Google and Zillow and all those, hey, these are ready to go leads. But in this case, we have something that we believe will be the best of both worlds. Logan, I'll let you kind of explain a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I mean, what we did is we went through a long series of tests trying to find something that doesn't immediately rely on the home valuation angle itself, something that is more in line with a standard blog post article, kind of the, top tips to stage your home before you're actually, ready. That kind of angle, that kind of idea. Just because the click-through rates on those are usually so astronomical, the downside of that style of advertising typically has been they're not used for lead capture. They're meant as information dissemination. So trying to get these brochures, if you will, or whatever it is, into hands and hope you get a call from that, right? Where what we've tried to do and credit where, full credit where credit is due. We brought on a new marketing individual on our side, which has made, things so much easier and quicker. And we're really flying along now, and a ton of new creative is coming out. And I literally just got off my weekly custom ad class, 5 minutes ago. So we've got another one that's coming out that's super exciting. And really our goal now on our side is to take the creative, the guesswork off the shoulders of our clients, right? Off of you guys in a sense. So you can come in and say, hey, statistically speaking, this one looks like it's working. Similar to what Marcus was already saying with our typical, conversion style ads that we've become known for. Well, now I'm sure you guys all know there's an additional hurdle in the way when using that style of advertisement. You need to have your own private domain and yada, yada, yada. Lots. You can come and, meet with us, and we'll go through all that with you. I won't bore you on this one, but there is an alternative now. And there's a way to get name, number, and email in an effective usage. What we're doing this first one is just simply the top 12 tips. Top 12 tips you need to know before selling your home. Super simple, super easy, but it's connected through the lead forms in such a specific way that as they go through, it says, okay, would you like to get this top 12 tips kind of article? They click yes. Now we're going to get name, number, and email, right? As soon as they hit yes or submit, they're going to get sent an email automatically through the StreetText system that includes that 12 tips PDF. You've offered them something, you've lived up to your promise, we're done. Super simple, super easy. And it takes a few quick clicks to get that portion set up. Now, what we can also do is we can connect that to a StreetText home valuation landing page as well. And then, reiterate the verbiage slightly to say something to the nature of at the end of the thank you page, you've already received your email with the 12 tips document. If you would also be interested in getting your home value, click the Get My Home Value button below. Boom, they get redirected to a StreetText landing page that's going to get their address, ties all the information together. You don't need the domain and the conversion objective pixel, all that set up. It's done very simply through a lead ad. So our goal is eventually still going to be to get everybody to do the conversion and all that. It works so incredibly well. But this is, again, it's the opportunity to now come in and without having to, sit through a help session, without having to connect a domain, without having to do much other than push 3 buttons, you can test our platform and test our brand of advertising and make sure that you're speaking to real individuals within your 7-day trial. That's kind of the idea.
And that's amazing, because at the end of the day, I'm sure you guys have experienced this. People get excited, they get signed up, and then in real estate, it's everything's a moving target, right? So I'm going to guess that you probably had people come to you and say, "Oh man, I signed up, but I didn't do anything during my 7-day trial because I had to go through all those hoops." So this is a real opportunity for those of you who are watching to get an understanding of how StreetText works without having to jump through a couple of hoops. And I think that'll put you ahead. And it's a great product and a great opportunity. The alternative is go spend about 1.5 years learning how to use Facebook Ads Manager, and then they'll change it. So that's that's the alternative.
Real quick to
almost
that,
every month.
Just on that, just real quick, there are, again, there's alternate pathways through our trial now. There's ways for you to kind of come in and get set up. But the same things, we and Marcus and I have said this right from the get-go, from years and years and years back. Come in, sign up for the trial. You don't need to launch ads right away. You might want to come in and look at the automations, look at the emails, get a good understanding of what your flow and follow-up should be. If you're ready to sign up for the trial, but you're not ready to start everything yet, not a problem. Come do that. Reach out to your coach, make some of the training sessions. Don't run ads yet. Come in and get a good baseline of learning. When you're ready to run ads, whether it's day 1, day 8, doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and reset that trial to make sure that now you're ready to run ads and test this system. Great, let's do that together. But you don't have to worry about wasting any time while you're getting the initial part set up. And again, we try our hardest to offer as many different options to help people depending on, are you a buyer's agent, are you a seller's agent? I would say primarily we help sellers agents. That would definitely be what we're focused on. But there's a lot of people right now that are looking for buyers, and we also know that I can't remember what the exact stat is, but it's something like 60% of people coming through buyer ads right now have a home to sell. It's a very interesting stat line, and it didn't used to always be that high. But again, there's so many people on the sidelines right now going like, if I sell my home, I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy something, right? So I'm suggesting to all my agents anyways, have, different, partnerships in place with maybe, connecting people to lenders. There's different things you can do to facilitate all sorts of different ends of that deal, right? But there's definitely good ways to get that going.
Awesome. So do you guys want to show a little bit about what's different and what's new? And I think that might be a great opportunity because I'm sure there's people who are already using StreetText, and maybe we can take a look at maybe what's a little bit different and maybe walk through that process.
So let's talk about what most people are used to first. So they, you can see the contrast and difference, because it helps to have the perspective of, if someone were to buy your home, would you sell it, find its value in the current market? Typically, you have to always realize that everybody is, because of the Housing Discriminatory Act, has to work within a 15-mile minimum radius. So always, 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 when you think Facebook marketing, think 15 miles, no matter what. And we help design imagery and text copy to tap into that 15 miles. But once that click happens, the idea of a dynamic capture and a conversion objective is that the important takeaway, and this is an old ad, but the important takeaway would be, now you have your own custom domain here. So now it'd be like briansellshomes.com on the bottom. Now the custom domain would be up here, briansellshomes.com. There would be nothing on StreetText about this ad. So no one would know you're running a StreetText ad, which is nice too. And it's the way of getting through this recent update with Apple iOS. That's what every single person running this type of ad has to. This is why it's kind of created a little bit of an obstacle for people just to trial this ad initially, because you have to register a domain first, and we have to register that for you. But this is kind of the way it works. It's essentially click to contact from here to here is anywhere from 60 to 70% on any given day on average. And this is tens of thousands of stats that we've generated that will give you people at least an address.
And Marcus, so that's the key. Before you put your information in there, why don't you go through the other one if you like? Go through the other lead ad, and it'll take you through to this section as well anyways.
Okay, great. Okay, there you go. See, so the difference now is this right here is kind of your workaround as a lead ad. So it's saying, learn our top tips for anyone thinking about selling their home. And they may not be what you think they are. And then so this person's just clicking on it and auto populates my information. Boom, name, email, phone number, next. Now, as soon as I submit, now that's already sending off to my email. And I can have my own email drip, obviously, with a video introducing myself at that moment, as well as a text message from our AI, Julie, automatically sending out a text too. But at this point, if they want to learn about the home value, now it's redirecting to her landing page. And again, it's now going through what you saw in the old steps, is now going to capture the information this way after they've already got everything else.
And the nice thing is, so long as all they have to do is use the same email and or phone number, and we're going to take that information, we amalgamate the two from the two different forms. It's right now, it's our first test before we make this a concrete solution. So we have to test a few things, make sure they work. And this is something that was a lot of manual work on my end for everybody who wanted to test it. I went through and I'm building this and building that and putting it all together, but it worked. It worked phenomenally well. I don't know if you want to share Sarah's results on that, but she's in a decent area, fairly tough area. And we were getting $3 phone numbers, on average. So if you look in her section up there, you can see here where it says emails, these are going to be name, number, and email. So leads, she's got 51 addresses, 47 emails, and it will also be 47 full name and phone numbers. And so in that area, and you can't rely, unfortunately, on the lead ads. If you're looking at that, you can't rely right now on the cost per click. There's a little bit of a discrepancy there, but you can rely on the cost per result, which is really what we care about. So we're running in another area of Orange County, which I'm sure everybody on this call from the Orange County area, you're well aware that you're in an area that is a little bit more difficult than most. And we do have one of our users, he's constantly on my ad testing classes, which is great. And we were getting $5.10 phone numbers in Orange County, and an abundance of them, like a really good amount. So, and he'd attest to that. I know he would. He's
Typically you look at SoCal and you're like, you'll get happy if you get a $15 to $20 email and you get phone numbers for $5. So that lead ad is a hot hot spot right now.
And for me, I think that the biggest takeaway from this is, I mean, this ad itself is working, but I think more importantly is the ideas behind it. And what we're constantly doing again is trying to help everybody work around the Facebook parameters. Facebook is constantly making these changes. This is not new. Facebook is going to make changes again tomorrow, next week, and a month from now, you know, and we always, and Brian, you alluded to it at the beginning, and this is something I like to say as well is, you know, Marcus, myself, our team, we could take every little bit of Facebook knowledge we currently have and we could package it up and, you know, and sell it to you or give it to you or whatever. And it's great. But by the time you've gone through that material, most of it is invalid.
Yes.
Most of it at that point, it's already changed, right? So it's understanding and following. And again, I always say it comes back to, you know, these LCA events. It comes back to coming to meeting the StreetText team because, you know, as things change, we're usually ahead of the curve and we can tell you guys pretty quickly, oh, hey, you're struggling with that. Well, we've heard of hundreds or if not thousands of people struggling with that same thing. Oh, and by the way, we've already come up with a solution. Let's try this. Right. And that's just part of this one ad alone. This is a very, very small portion of really what we're most excited about. But the mechanism to get around that conversion objective so that people fresh to StreetText before coming into a system that to them, totally unproven, come in with as few, you know, obstacles as humanly possible without having to lay out any money really other than your ad spend, you know, on the ads. Let's test and make sure that you see legitimate seller leads coming through your funnel. Then we can start working together.
And how many of those different ones have you guys developed? Now, obviously, you've got the 12 things you need to know to sell your house. What are some of the other ones that we're working on, or what are some of the other ideas? Because, you know, I think I'm going to feel, and you know, what's split testing, right? So that's kind of the big thing that StreetText is kind of famous for is, hey, we're going to split test A, B, and C, and then we're going to do that. So what other kind of stuff are you guys doing all along those lines that might be similar to that?
I'll quickly field that. It looks like Marcus has something to share as well. I'll quickly field that just in that we've always had, and I ran it, what we called the custom ad class, where people come to me and say, hey, Logan, I've got a crazy idea. And I, you know, help them formulate that idea and put it into words and create emails. So I was spending, you know, an hour per client to come up with one ad that might work. So you're A/B testing, but we're not split testing really. We're not having enough people testing the same objective. So we changed the process of that class entirely. It's been 4 weeks now. The first one that we did was the 12 tips and it blew up. We did one 2 weeks ago that the results, I mean, it was a completely different angle, different idea, and it didn't quite hit the same way. The one that we ran last week, so long as it continues performing the way it is, it's going to be templated. And I literally just previewed a brand new one today. So before, I can't really show any of those yet, just because they're very, very early in the initial testing. Beta. But the idea is we have, you know, 20, 30 of our users willing to test and try these things so that when I see positive results out of 15 of them, I can say, okay, what did their market see? What do they, oh, well, let's clean up this word. Let's change that. Let's change the color of this. Let's change this. And then we get to what's working. And now we've got it templated. So all of our users can simply come and hit 3 buttons and they've got that thing that took me an hour to create, you know, per user. It takes 5 to 15 seconds. And so now instead of having 50 people or 30 people testing it, we're going to see hundreds and hundreds of people testing because it's a template. And so again, the next angle, should it test in a similar fashion, which I'm expecting it will continue to do so, it'll become a template as well. So that's the big one, is that, again, you may even look at this ad here, the 12 tips, and go, but that's great. People have been doing that for the map image ads for years. Can't tell you how many people come and say, well, that ad will never work in my area. And I always just say, okay, well, we need to do it to establish a baseline. That's my way of saying it's going to work. Trust me.
Right. Anyway,
9 out of 10 times it works. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't think it was going to work. Well, I know.
Yeah. and that's, again, guys, that's why you use something like StreetText. Again, if you want to become a Facebook ads manager expert, that's great. Fabulous. But why would you? And here's another great thing. And I love what Logan's talking about this. We're creating leverage through the community. And some of you are part of the community right now. And some of you hopefully will become part of that community. But instead of me going out and running 27 ads and finding out that 2 of them were worth a flip, why not use the whole community? Because I can have 30 people run one ad, or I can run 30 ads. Well, which one makes more sense? I like the 30 people running one. So now I can actually get a lot more data and get an understanding. And those of you who think your market's unique, I'm gonna echo what Logan said. It's not. There's probably 5 or 6 unique markets in the country, and there's like what, hundreds of thousands of markets. So it's possible, but the math says that your market's not that unique, and there's always people looking for information. And I love what you compared this to, Logan. You compared this to a blog post, and that's really what it is. This is a modern version of that. It's like, hey, we're gonna 12 tips for this. Remember, everything was a number for a while, right? You want the 7 things to do before you sell your house, the 12 things you need to do before you list your house in the winter. I mean, there was all those things that happened. They work. That's why we're continuing to do those. And these guys are testing them for you. So you don't have to be a marketing genius. Go out and sell real estate. And that's one of the things that I like, and I actually tell my clients that, like, I'm not a marketing genius. So I've hired several companies who are really good at this, and I use their product to make sure that your house gets marketed. It's a great way to look at things. It's a great thing to tell your clients, because they don't believe you're a marketing genius.
100%. And again, that's kind of what we, keep trying to do on our end, as we continue to grow. We're not only adding the right positions, but we're adding the right people. And I think that's incredibly important as well, is to continue to find these new individuals who are bringing back information to us that we're even thinking like, oh, that's interesting. Like the whole blog or, article post kind of idea. That wasn't even my idea. That was Maddie's idea. And, it's worked, and it's worked phenomenally well. And I think that's, again, what we continue to try to do is we're growing. We as a company, we're growing by leaps and bounds. And it's because, people are getting good results, but that's because people are testing and trying things, and we're able to attribute, those tests into something that actually makes sense statistically. And again, and I think that's so incredibly important. What you also said there, Brian, is that our idea of a split test has always been do 3 ads. And even though the 3 ads themselves will be identical, you'll get different results. Well, now, like you say, if I've got 30 people each doing 3 ads, how much more information am I able to gather? And when I can gather that information in a day, as opposed to a week or a month, we can react quicker. So the more people joining in and doing the same thing at the same time, the quicker we get the evidence, the quicker we can start making alterations, the quicker that proves to be better, the quicker we suggest to everybody else, hey, make said alterations. And all of a sudden, as a community, we just see that growth. And it's been so fun to watch. And again, the custom ads have only been new for us, that this style, for 4 weeks now, and we're already seeing a huge impact. So all I can say is, urge people to come try StreetText, see if it works for yourself. Don't let us, try to convince you. It's not what we're here for. We're here to convince you to come test it. That's it. Come make sure it works for you.
And I'll say this for everybody who's watching, feel free to put any questions in the Q&A, and, these guys are here, we'll be here for a little bit longer. If you have any questions, any general questions about how to use the product, or general questions about, what's different, or, because there's a lot of changes that have happened, you guys mentioned. I'll be honest, if it wasn't for StreetText, I wouldn't even been aware of the change where you had to register your own domain. Why would I? Because again, I'm a real estate agent. I'm not a tech guru. I'm not a marketing genius. I don't have to be those things. So, again, guys, if you have questions, if you want to know more about it, and we'll also, it's in the chat, but we'll put it up there again. These guys are offering a free 7-day trial to their product. And one of the things that I love about that trial, I've had a lot of trials of a million different products. Never once on another product did I get a coach for those 7 days. So, one of these guys or one of the other coaches at StreetText will be there holding your hand through this, not because their product is hard, but because their product might be new to you. So that's a really huge opportunity that I don't think any other company is offering right now. So it's a really good opportunity to rip off and deploy from other people, and again, use that community. It's very valuable.
And we know how important it is to integrate with the systems you already have too. So a big part of that experience is, okay, let's generate leads. Everybody gets excited when that dopamine rush when your leads are coming. But then how do we create that experience from the moment they submit their information? And of course, there's amazing integrations like BombBomb and even HomeBot and all these other solutions out there, and your follow-up boss and whatever CRMs you're using. I'll put it all together so that experience is authentic the moment they go back to their inbox or get a text message from that AI. So it doesn't feel like a bot. It feels authentic, it feels genuine. And so that's a big part of that. Now, what I was going to share earlier was to simply, We make it easy so when you get into your dashboard with StreetText, they're all ranked in order of the lowest cost lead right now. So it's kind of fun knowing you're like, oh, where do I go? Where should I start today? Well, I mean, the listing ad, if you have a listing you want to market right now, is a really easy way to get phone numbers. A lot of people can capture dollar phone numbers that way just by putting their listing in and uploading it in a matter of seconds. Buyer campaigns, of course, super easy. And we teach you how to do those. And there's some little hacks that we recommend to make more phone numbers come in, and what type of redirect URL you want to put in there to get people excited. And then all these seller ads that Logan was talking to, like the What's Your Home Really Worth, has been around for a long time, and it's still the highest click to contact ratio that we have, the lowest cost per email that we have. But a lot of people, if they just try to do it themselves, would mess up on it without having a few minutes of training. And so there's just some small things that you can do, because it is really easy to set up. I mean, I could go in there like Logan was talking about in a matter of seconds, because we do this all the time. Pick an image. Either we take a stock photo or one of the photos that they want, click next, drop a pin in the area that I want to drop it in. Knowing my 15 miles would be important. Drop that pin and lock it in, and then click next. And essentially I could pick my daily ad budget, and then the split test that we were talking about, I can go as many as 5 and split them 5 ads to the audience right now with one deploy. But you wouldn't want to just simply do that without a little bit of training, and to know what you're looking for, how to analyze that data. It's not just what's my lowest cost per lead. I think ultimately when you're locking into 3 to 5 audiences at the same time, you think it would be quantity of leads for that spend, but it's actually quality of information and where Facebook's picking up on algorithm within that 15 miles. Because you may be willing to spend a few more dollars per lead if it's right in your backyard in the homes that you want to sell, versus I'm getting a ton of leads in a place I would never want to even walk into that neighborhood, right? So you have to learn a little bit of that data and how to analyze that, and that's what you have a coach for. And we want to show you how it all works and how to make an experience come the moment they go to their inbox thinking they're getting an instant market value, and then there's a real person there connecting with them and looking to give them even a better process.
Yeah, I'd have to just quickly say, just on top of that, one of the most valuable pieces of information that I get to share with my clients is statistical expectations to their area, because they'll come in and we'll have an ad work that's perfectly in line with my expectations, and they're not even sure a lot of the time. I mean, cost per click is one that I would say most people are fairly familiar with. You're going to see your cost per click and you say, okay, I'm expecting it to be between this and this. Great. But again, you're paying for the clicks, but what you're looking for are the results, right? Like cost per click can be 10 cents, which would be phenomenal. But if I'm getting a ton of cheap clicks and none of them are leaving me name, number, email, then I could care less how cheap that click was. It's not finding me the right individuals. So our system has the ability to display to you what your cost per actual physical result is. And that's what's truly important. So that you can see, when you do the 3 ad split test, you look at the ad section, and on one page, you can determine within 5 seconds, within one glance, which one of these ads is better than the other, but also, is it worth running, or any of these worth running? And, we can give you guys parameters. As soon as you tell me, hey, I'm in the such and such area, I can usually, tell you pretty quickly, okay, well, median price point in the such and such area is as follows. So my expectations for your area would be a range of this between this and this. This is my warning line, cost per lead between this and this. And if we hit this, you're starting to get a little bit concerned. So people, again, at a glance, they know when to turn ads on and off, and they can take that same information and attribute it to ads outside of our spectrum. That's perfectly fine. Just because, your numbers are such on StreetText doesn't mean they shouldn't be similar elsewhere. And if they're not, what's that telling you? Right? So start making changes and alterations to things outside of the StreetText, ecosphere as well. But again, come for no other reason, even just to come make sure, do these ads work? And do I understand the Facebook algorithm? And if you don't fully get the algorithm, come to one of our training sessions and we'll run you through the ups and the downs, the basics of absolutely everything, and then be able to tell you specifically, hey, in your area, Brian, you should be seeing these parameters on these 3 stat lines. And if you're not seeing that on any of your ads, I don't care if it's, buyers ads, sellers ads, or whatever, if you're not seeing these stat lines, you're doing it wrong, or it's not working one way or the other, and we'll have alternatives to suggest for you.
And one of the things I think that people are missing right now in this market, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this, is so we're all desperate for sellers right now. I was, talking to a good friend of mine in our market earlier today, and he's like, yeah, we went from 530 sellers all the way up to 570, current listings. And, it's such a huge increase in the market, which is an interesting thing to say, because, in our market, we were used to carrying somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000. So we look at that. But here's the thing, and I think everybody's got to start looking at some long-term stuff right now. And this is what I'm telling all the agents who work with us is, guys, we're going to make it through the next 90 days. We're going to work our butts off. We're going to get stuff under contract. We're doing a list. We're going to sell it. And it's going to be hard. But here's the reality. Eventually, this will loosen up. And the people, in my opinion, who are going to succeed are the people who have built this pipeline up. If you're looking for right now business, fabulous. But write this word down. And you need to think long term, or otherwise, when the market shifts a little bit, you're going to get crushed because you have not had a long-term strategic plan. And, to me, doing Facebook ads where I'm getting, by the way, if those of you who don't know what a lead ad is, basically, it's just when you push the button, it takes all of your data that you've given to Facebook and dumps it in there and gives that to the person who, me, to these guys or whatever. So that's why it's so accurate, because most people put really accurate information into Facebook. Why? I have no idea, but they do. So we've got that data in there. And, it's funny, a good friend of mine who lives up in Minnesota, he went out and bought 10,000 phone numbers. And I promise you, he didn't pay $1 a phone number for them. He paid a heck of a lot more than that just to have that kind of data in there. So, when you can get Facebook buyer leads, and those are no one wants a buyer lead right now, but, think long term. If I can get a name, phone number, email address for $1 or $2, if I have a long-term strategic plan, by the way, these guys will give you one to follow up with these leads. Then 6 months from now, when the market's a little bit different, I'm going to be ahead. I'm not behind. I'm not pivoting to the new things. So I'd love to hear what you guys are, along those lines, what you're doing with that type of stuff.
I'll start with just a couple, thoughts that kind of go in line with my thoughts on the market largely. I mean, we've gone through shortages of inventory in the past, typically for different reasons though. And the hurdle that was facing people was, well, I don't have enough equity in my home, so I'm not going to sell it because, equity being what it is or whatever. The current hurdle that the majority of the markets are facing is one that is getting smaller and smaller every single day. That's my take on it anyways. And a lot of the states are starting to open up. Here in Canada, we're hearing word that this weekend we're finally opening back up, and we can get back to sporting events, and people are becoming less, I don't even want to say the word, but COVID cautious. We'll just say it. It's the one time.
Cautious is good. Yeah.
And I won't say it again, but you get the idea is a lot of people on different age demographics, different people in general have been a little hesitant to put their home on the market. I don't want a broker's caravan coming through. I don't want people coming through here and there and everywhere. So instead of seeing 1,500 homes in the market and having an appropriate level of buyers for them, we're seeing 500, homes on the market and a similar level of buyers, which is, instead of maybe a 2 or 3 person bidding war, I'm seeing, 15 to 20 people. One of my best friends just put in an offer. It was a $825,000 home, and they put in 1.2 because they're sick, because it was her 17th offer. I'm not even joking. So she said, "This is the max budget. I'm putting our max offer and I'm walking away with this home." Hey, they walked away with that home. Now, will that home be worth that much money eventually? Of course it will. We all know that if that individual holds that property for 5 to 10 years, she's going to have equity again, you'd have to assume. But there's a lot of people, again, who've just been a little bit, wary of putting their home on the market for a number of reasons. Those reasons are starting to go away. And so I look at this, we've always looked at the StreetText solution as a top of funnel idea. Find these individuals before they've made a decision. Now, these people they're in the same places as always, but there's been this hurdle that's ever evaporating. Let's get them into the database now. Start communicating with them now. Whether it's you who's going to ease their concerns and get them put on their home on the market, that's insignificant. They're going to make that choice when it's right for them. But hopefully you're in their database as well by then. Hopefully you've had a conversation with them. No time like the present than to get yourself these individuals. And also my take, kind of more in line with what you were mentioning, Brian, don't be scared of buyers leads or buyer ads right now. I typically, as a seller's agent, buyers find me all the time. I wasn't going out trying to find buyers. Right now, and again, statistically speaking, we've discovered that it was around 60% of all people who are submitting through what we're seeing buyer ads, they have a property that they have to sell. That's a huge number, and that's a big opportunity. So, my favorite is a listing ad. Instead of a list of homes, this is a real listing, knowing that the market is what it is. If you don't take action on this, it's gone tomorrow. I don't have to tell people that. They already know that. Yes, right. So if I run it, here's my property listing at 123 Maple Street. Do you want more information on that? Great. They give me buyer's information. Of course, I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, did you have a property that you were looking to sell as well? Did you want a home value on that property, and get them kind of going that way? But don't, discount buyer ads, especially listing ads right now, like property listing ads.
Well, so let's do math for fun, because I like math. And tell me if these numbers are correct. So I heard about $5 you could get a seller ad for. Was that about accurate? A seller lead?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, 100%. And you said you could get a buyer lead for about $1. Is that accurate?
That one always changes, to be honest with you.
Okay. Let's say $2.
$2.
Yeah, let's say $2. So, and I'm going to do math for everybody. And basically that means if 60% of those buyers are also sellers, you're actually, by running buyer ads, getting cheaper seller leads than you were by running seller ads. And I didn't do all the math. Someone, divide 2 by 0.6, and that'll give you the answer. I'm not going to do that off the top of my head. But nonetheless, my point is, you can do both. And here's the thing, and this is the thing I think so many real estate agents make a mistake of. And I'm going to give a shout out to one of the agents on my team, and great guy, Eric Eby. And he said this to me when I said one time, should we even go on these appointments? And he said, Brian, we're having real estate conversations. And, sometimes the coach gets coached. And I was like, that is a fabulous way to look at this, because if you're having real estate conversations, you're moving your business forward. And I don't care if that costs you $1, $10, $100. If you're having those conversations, it's moving your business forward. And most people, you're not going to go out and spend $300, $400, $500 on a lead, but this is the opportunity for you to get a seller lead for $2.50, $3. And a legitimate one, in that, they're not moving today, but, I'm sure you guys are hearing a lot of agents say this: when the market changes, I'm the first person there. And here's the thing. I don't know when the market's going to change, or otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be drinking a margarita on the beach someplace, but it will change. I'm 100% sure of that. And so be ready for that, and start, make it through your business today, make it through this hard, challenging market, but at the same time, be set up for when it comes up next, because that is the people who are going to crush it in quarter 4, in my opinion.
We actually did a LabCoatAgents event quite a long time ago with another one of our users. And one of the things that she said to me that was important was, I diagnose every single incoming lead the same way as if I was a physician. I don't care if they've told me, I'm just curious. If I'm ready immediately, I don't care. Until I've heard it from their mouths and we have a real conversation, I treat everybody the same way. And what that opportunity really does for you is again, have a real estate conversation. Wow the individual. Maybe they're buying, maybe they're selling, maybe they're 5 years away. But if I can have a real estate conversation with that individual and wow them, right now, my name's in their mouth. Now it's like, oh, I actually was just talking to somebody the other day. What was his name? Oh yeah, this Logan guy. Great. That's good enough for me. There's ways to take this small opportunity and gain and garner referrals from it. And like, you can go and we've got, Marcus, I'm sure you could share a bajillion stories. We've got so many stories of StreetText users basically telling the exact same story. I went out, spoke to an individual. They've been being avoided by other agents because it's this crappy little property, whatever it is. It's a trailer home or a trailer. It's not within their key demo. We'll call it that way. They went out there, they spent the time, and well, this is just somebody who's kind of basically looking after their sweet old mom's property, but they're an investor. Or there's so many opportunities out there and you have no idea what's on the other end of that opportunity. So treat every single individual the exact same. Treat them well, treat them with service and value. And you're adding to your business. You're growing your name, right? I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add on that, Marcus.
No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think ultimately you got to understand the psychology of the top of funnel and the ads that we run. It's interruption-based marketing. So we'll do our job to give you the lowest cost leads. Now you got to do your job to create an authentic experience and make that person feel like they're not being sold, that you're coming from contribution, that there's no obligation, that it's your way of giving back to the community, and you're actually going to give them something that's better than anything they could have got as far as the internet's best guess. So you're looking to have that conversation with them, and ultimately you get to narrate that experience the moment they submit their information. So it always flips the moment that we start generating leads and getting great leads to, okay, let's look at what you're going to be sending and how you're presenting yourself. So a lot of people, that's where they need to shift. That's where the psychology has to change. That's where they have to learn how to win friends and influence people. That's where they have to learn how to humanize the process. And we do everything we can to say, listen, you're wanting to humanize the process for the lead. You want them to make that experience authentic so they can see you as being genuine. But are you doing that for yourself too? And so a lot of our training as well is let's humanize the process for you. Let's make sure you're going to LinkedIn and Facebook and finding them on social and connecting on Messenger and, making that lead come to life for yourself, or else you're not going to treat it more than just a piece of information as a contact. So a lot of that is tapping into social and understanding that we have the greatest CRM at our hands, which is Facebook itself, if you learn how to leverage it as well. A lot of people forget you're interrupting their newsfeed, their personal newsfeed, with an ad from your business page. Full circle, you should be presenting and communicating through social as well, from the personal side of your life, not just the business side, because that's where know, like, and trust is established. That's where they see that human connection first. They don't see all your accolades and awards. They want to see, is this a person that I can actually hang out with?
Yeah.
They have values like me. Is there somebody that I feel safe coming to my home? They're going to do everything they can to ensure that. You want to do that for yourself too. So it creates that connection.
That comes back to embedding video as well. It's one of those things that, in 2021, we should not be telling people that video is the answer. They should know that by now. Video it's darn near a necessity. And I would definitely say of anybody that I've been dealing, helping with on my clients, of anybody who's struggling, I would absolutely have to attribute that typically to their leads are going well. They're not getting a lot of conversations or enough conversations. Well, that first missing video step is so incredibly important. People want to deal with real people. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of car you drive at this stage. I don't care if you have nice Prada sunglasses. I could care less. Are you a kind of person that I can see myself spending the next 3 months of my life with? Or are you somebody that I can rely on? Can I tell that I can rely on you? That's very important, especially if we're dealing with, buyers or people who might need to sell and buy in this market. They better trust you. And there's only one way to show, or to start that conversation. It's to present your face, your name, that's your brand, right? Get that in front of you.
It's so fun. It's so fun too, because it levels the playing field for every agent. You could be a top 1% in all of North America, and you could be a brand new agent, and the brand new agent will do much better because the top 1%, they're going to come in with all the wrong thought processes and things that should be scaled and done for them, where the person that's brand new sees this as a great opportunity to connect with people they've never met before, and will go after it a little bit differently, and they'll win the presentation as well. So it's awesome.
It is.
It's awesome for anybody that's willing to lay the groundwork.
Guys, really appreciate today. We've got basically, I'd just love to hear your final thoughts, because we got to button up the webinar, and then I'll cover the admin stuff. But what's your guys' final thoughts for today? And this looks like I'm excited about StreetText as always innovating, always coming up with something new. And so just love to hear your final thoughts.
I'll just say, come test it. Once you're a full member of ours, my mentality is test anyways. Test until you find it what's working. Once you find what works, the beauty of Facebook is typically you get to set back and let it kind of do what it does. It starts with a series of short tests, then it's a marathon afterwards. But come check out the actual StreetText ecosphere, meet your coach, meet the community, test to see if this works for you. If it doesn't work, hey, no harm, no foul. At least you tested and you tried it. But I think it's very important you come in and take the first test.
Awesome. Thanks, Logan.
And I would say that exactly, followed by one more thing: come to a mastermind on Wednesdays, because it's one thing to get this all done. It's another thing to actually sit back and experience the community. And with some cases, people have been with us for 5 years. So don't take it from us. Find out what the best agents are doing and learn from them. Be a fly on the wall. Just come to that one meeting, mastermind, and you'll be impressed. You'll want to join. That's all I could say.
Awesome. Well, guys, again, thank you for being here today. What do I need to do? What do I need to already have done? What do you need to already have before doing the test? What do we need before we sign up, basically, before you're going to do any testing? What do you guys need?
There's going to be multiple options. Again, we're trying to lower the restrictions, lower the resistance, I guess you will. So if you want to test our, the OGs, we'll call it, the conversion style ads, you'll come through. There's there's a process in place, I guess we'll say, to get you there. If you didn't want to set up your domain and do all that, there's other things we can do. But either way, you don't need anything to register for the 7-day trial, meet your coach, and then we'll have all the direction you could possibly need there. And you do not need to start ads if you're not ready. Meet with your coach and we'll get all of your questions answered. Come to a mastermind. We'll get you guys figured out for sure.
Awesome. So a couple of quick administrative things. That was a great answer to that question. Ultimately, these guys will fix it. They'll tell you what you need. Show up, do the trial. So a couple of things: 7-day free trial. That's in the text. What do I need to do to start ads? They will cover that for you. Really simple, guys. It's very seriously. Sign up. Logan, Marcus, one of the other coaches will actually hold your hand, walk you all through it. You need a credit card. I know that you're going to need a credit card to run Facebook ads, but they'll help you with all that stuff. And Marcus has put also the mastermind there. So I would say that anybody who wants great information, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in a mastermind. 1 + 1 is going to equal 4 or 5 or 6. So show up for that mastermind. Take the tips from the agents who have been using your product for up to 5 years and go from there. And again, remember, if for whatever reason you weren't able to see this whole thing, this is recorded on our YouTube channel. That is also in the chat. So great working with you guys as always, and appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
Thanks, guys.